The people in those areas chose to work with Obote. They showed him love, and that is how he also reached out to help develop those places. In this vein, the UPC and the people of Lamu, we have resolved, we have agreed, we have decided to support President Museveni, not because we don't have any other option, but because we want to work with a person, show him support, so that after that, we also demand, when we go to the table with equals, that when they ask us what we bring to the table, we say we brought the vote. If we want to have the roads fixed, we have something and a basis to demand. If we want our hospitals to be improved, we have a basis to demand. If we want our schools to be improved, we have a basis of demand. If we want to handle the economics of Lamu as a people, we shall have a basis to demand. So on that basis, we request, we implore all the people of Lamu and all members of the Uganda People's Congress to stand with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the 15th of January, vote him, and after voting him, it will be a sign of lending to him our support, and then we shall also freely demand. In English we say, for those who freely give, they freely demand. So let's freely give President Museveni, and after the election, we shall freely demand. That is the message. I thank you so much. There have been very many accusations and counter-accusations that have been peddled. And one thing that surprises me is that the people who are peddling accusations are the very people who have been working with President Museveni. One person that I will not name accused me of having received money from Honorable Jane Ruth Acheng. In the name of God, I've never met Jane. I've not spoken to her on phone, physically, never. Our coming in to support President Museveni is both tactical and strategic. One, as members of the Uganda People's Congress, and then two, as the people of Lamu. The history of Lamu and the politics of the Uganda People's Congress in Uganda involves members of the UPC sitting down to dialogue. How Uganda got independence in 1962 was as a result of the UPC leadership going to Lancaster to sit down with a white man to discuss. When we had the election in 61 and 62 for parliament, the UPC had come second. The UPC had to sit down with Kabaka Yeka. They sat, allied, and formed government. And that is how Milton Obote got power. Why we are coming out in the open to endorse President Museveni is to enable the people of Lamu to be able to demand for services from government, because that has been a condition created by this very government for very many years. To speak about coming to contest for party president and then handing over the position to or endorsing President Museveni, we were only two candidates nominated for the position of party president, Jimmy Akena and myself. The constitution of the UPC limits terms of office to 2 terms. Akena has served these 2 terms, 2015 to 2020, 2020 to 2025. Since 2 people were nominated, I went and challenged Akena's nomination in court. There is no one fighting Akena. It is the UPC constitution being implemented. Court agreed with me and said Akena cannot be party president for a 3rd term. Now, because we have been fighting in between, we saw Akena trying to organize a fictitious delegates conference, which made illegal resolutions. When he picked nomination forms from the Electoral Commission, I also picked nomination forms. We wanted to present a candidate for president under the Uganda People's Congress. because we still have a case in court, the Electoral Commission said it could not nominate any of us. This contradiction was created by Jimmy Akena. If he had stood down and allowed me to come in as party president fully sworn in before the delegates conference, this would not have happened. The message to the people of Lango by now would have been, vote for UPC for president, vote for UPC local government, vote for UPC parliament. But because Akena created a contradiction intentionally, it is why we are into this confusion. But to let the election to go, then that takes us to the benefit, the question of the masses. How do we position the people of Lango to benefit from the services of this government? Because that has been a condition created, that for you to get support, for you to get services, you must support government. Like I have said here, Bushenyi, Bugisu were the biggest beneficiaries of the Milton Obote government under the Uganda People's Congress. How did they get these benefits? It's because they supported the UPC, they supported Milton Obote. To this day, when you go to Bushenyi municipality, we have candidates of the UPC carrying the flag both at local government and parliament. And after here, I am going to Bushenyi. So, why we are doing this as the people of Lango and members of the UPC, leaders of the UPC, is to lessen the contradiction around service delivery. Let us find another reason that the president will give for not sorting our healthcare, for not sorting our education system, for not sorting our economics and economy, and for not sorting every other basic social service. It is a debt we are lending to President Museveni, our support. Once we lend it to him, we are also going to come back and say, Mr. President, the people of Lango endorsed, voted you overwhelmingly. We need services. On top of the services, we shall demand for appointments. We have seen, not to recommend or support or endorse anybody here, we have seen the little improvement that has happened in our healthcare services. Why? We have a child of the soil who is a minister of health, right? So, can we demand for more positions? Why is it that Teso has more positions, Acholi has more positions, Lango only has 2, and of these 2, they are fighting. You like it or not, on 15th, we are losing one of them. So, as people of now, what then do we decide to do? Is to sit down and think through and say, okay, let us support him. So that after supporting him, we can go back and make demand. What we are also trying to remove, to put away and put to an end in Lango, are 1 or 2 individuals running to State House in the middle of the night in the name of the UPC and members of Lango to pick money. When they pick that money, they go devote themselves but never come back to the people. We are saying no picking money from State House. What we are demanding from State House are services to the people of Lango. Whether someone is in a Molatan, a Patch, Kole, Lira, they should be able to access government services that are that are of good quality. That is why we are coming in to support President Museveni in this election, but push for the UPC vote at local government and parliament. But if there are people that the voters may be interested in pushing back to work with President Museveni for particular interests, we also want to leave that question to the voter. But importantly, let's vote the members of UPC at all levels. We vote President Museveni for president. When our time comes, when we are organized internally, as we are going to do in the next 5 years after this election, 2031, we'll have a different narrative. We are not here to fight anybody. We are not here to blackmail anybody. We are here to fight to remove the internal contradiction that has been perpetuated by self-seeking politicians who use the name of Lango, who use the name of UPC for personal enrichment. If you ask them where their children go to school, they are are not in Uganda. If you ask them where they get medical services, it is not in Uganda. But you and me, we go to Lira, main hospital, we go to the health center FOS. If we don't find medical services there available, it is us who get affected. That is what this election is all about. Service delivery. Pushing opportunists out. Bringing in leaders who have a sense of belonging to the members who vote them. It's not about buying. If there is anybody who has given my money and it hasn't reached, please bring it. But I have not received any money from anybody, be it President Museveni, be it Honorable General Sache, be it any member of the National Resistance Movement. Whatever we are using are small monies that have been pulled together by members of the Uganda People's Congress and people of Lango, opinion leaders who think that Lango should take a different trajectory in the politics of Uganda. We should begin defining the trajectory of the politics of this country. Why is it that TESO has a vice president? It has a speaker. It has about 4 ministers. Lango has 2. Those are questions that we must begin thinking. Those leaders, when they go to meet with the politicians in State House, they discuss in the interest of the people of TESO. That's why you find that TESO is improving in most of its services. Infrastructure development, TESO is better generally than Lango. We want those services in Lango. For that end, we have resolved to support President Yoweri Museveni for president.
Uchwin, kinini, ana mo tama, meneno ni, wan luake UPC, nirchwa President Yoweri Museveni.
We don't love a poll, a may one nani wangwa, a may no temo. Man no me 1 month, do chunga tek, Anna Kobuni, Anna Berdakota. At the program Museveni, Karaman, Chari, Paris model, me 1 money, 2 million business. Mondrik Berata, Eta Duang Lobo, Ubinu Yabo 1 month. Me want to chunga tek, you pay the tinowa. You walk upachiwa. A man who did and Christian Mori Chingwa, a catu bini comi, Iromu chung. Gina Romoko be no noreno. Miana po Museveni attack. A me one mokotangwa me on ye queer. Mwagani. Imatal Benata. Mel yam.
Ayai doholo Disney. Jimmy Bido Nino Ame, one of Moho Tamwa, Chalo Balo UPC, Ametia Bear, Metamone, Chabi to take the president wa Agota 7. The teacher take a man or two, a me 1 or 2 and Jaharation Nahamana, and put your word in Makwong. Tunung ticket which a man Pehomoro can petie, Kai comparing the Lobo can a man Rushuti, Uganda Tia Bear, Omi Tune and Yakina, Shuman, do bala petting at Toro, a man Romy, while met the which a meti Uganda. Okelo Comeda Pachi, Jen project Yapola Popat, a man Weho, one a Jalan Uganda, one a Jalan Holo. Tiamo tuti mabe dung mira watieni wan dushu okanya kina mechwak po Museveni we hand of dong med demetelo Uganda piticha ber amekudo dong nyima men pod bino med demetiyo naha poye twan luak wa adwak pota duong goto ba pininatin meno chok wa kedekan chụp mình du bên Lào and nhiều luôn đi ở chơi Patrick Page district ame Page district over the district ame guri me UPC at Wong Ti ye
Pien president wa melao Apol Milton Oborre en ya pach kabelma. Donc tinini en donc petia chung. Donc mi tiwa tammi icompresse na boro ametia chung yene. One ma jo ma pach kidan ngoni President Museveni en name tuero buokulu me Uganda me wan mohotama an nama mohotama ni Museveni wan polo ye me duoke tumuhabi metelo luwa me Uganda. President Museveni mi ana tammi wana duahe ana twa UPC o yue wakti ma jel tieke de kuj duong tuwal karokara nge peki ubinu bedi lang kor mojo ma do ka jo kon Dr. Bido mako jo kri neko jo kri palu kucha jo makotino uyumon manu President Museveni te kato derie mo konyo ko na chani ana lokki kuche tu malo me Uganda Mario gina Museveni ti mabe ikarcha kaini ya pa ne bino lira inuoni yo apua tia me duong bugi ti yo eta tia lokki aya pa kitine na lokeni lam tia me cha here dok feri ma kohoro de bina na halira city kai ne ko tia chil kitine na lokeni Yoweri Museveni utiuti chatek me yo lam be tumal wa me Uganda nyolo ma pach e kai no kena motia be imioga tia mo bino mio kategora para bongwen ame bora ti ye tuerba ti ye market vendors ti ye jo pola kategora para bongwen mio chani kimchalo chini cha me mioga cha jo ti ukere mia mani alo ti kom jo tino wada cha wor school eka enna me pudo gi ukere chani be do PDM ame tia be kimchalo me agor moro ngata goro mzee moro ti tia mengo tia ga mujende ne mino achel ka mi itro welo kede punni itro pito kede gwen itro ti miga pola me kelo chini chao mia manne jamo ga mioga kede PDM yo tia ti mabebe roro en mi akobi President Museveni oberdana be pitinga toke kena metro ti mokore jameno me konyongo luak me Uganda magi kimere a joti tia menda mi chente duwe mi chinte era bi ame Petit president na cha here Uganda kan ametibe President Museveni ya kon joti mi joti da tikiri kwa yon mi otini ala mohoni President Museveni ana do kapaj ameta mobilizing jo mewe kuira Museveni be da duong te lanya mewe hen mede kredelo wa lo wa me Uganda akobo man pi lo na ke lo bana akwa yo